episode 259 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 4th of December 2023. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelim.
How's it going?
Graham.
Good evening.
And Will.
Hello.
Let's get straight on with our discoveries then. Will, you've got another quick terminal find. Tail-F.
Yes, minus capital F. If you're ever tailing a log file for a process which runs and when it quits and restarts, starts a new log file under the same name, and you're using tail minus lowercase f, your tail will just sit there when the file gets closed and never start again. And so every time the process restarts, you have to quit tail minus f and restart it in order to see updates from the file. And until Saturday, I had no idea that uppercase F would tail the file, and if the file closed and reopened under the same name, would just carry on regardless. And this has saved me a lot of Control-C, up arrow, enter over the course of this weekend. I wish I'd known about it previously. I wish I'd bothered to even look at the man page to find out. I did a quick Google search, and this is what popped up. So, yes, happy days. Tail minus capital F for the win.
What logs were we looking at?
Home Assistant. So whenever you quit the process, it closes the log file. I think it moves it to like .1, and then it starts a new log file under the same name. And so every time it moved the file, tail minus lowercase f would just sit there as if nothing had happened and never update.
Phelim. QEMU Advent calendar. This is a different VM every day leading up to Christmas.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of fun just to try stuff out as well. I mean, some of them are quite simple, like one of them's essentially a PDF that boots up and does it. The other one is TinyCore Linux was the first one. Day 3 I choose to ignore because it's one of those word games and they can all fuck right off so they can. And then the fourth one is essentially a sort of smart way to build intelligent applications, like things like Conway's Game of Life and stuff. I tried the tool that built it and I can't figure it out. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it doesn't take any input. But it was kind of cool seeing Conway's Game of Life start off and do all the weird things that it does. Like what is it called? Is it the flyer or something like that? There's loads of different shapes that it makes while it's doing all its thing. But yeah, no, it's quite cool. And there's, 24 of them going to be there. They've only up to number 4 so far. So a bit of fun and something that people could try out.
My first thought was, I hope they're prepared for a large bandwidth bill. But then I saw that Wordle thing is 2.5 kilobytes.
Yeah, I mean, some are obviously bigger than others, but like TinyCore was 22 megabytes. I mean, that's not big, but yeah, enough people download it, it's going to get big no matter what. But it's been quite interesting to actually see the way they package it. It's a tar zip file, and each one has a run script. And I don't often use QEMU directly on its own. I often use things like libvirt or whatever through KVM and stuff like that together. And I've never used QEMU on its own. And it's quite interesting to see how tiny and simple it is to run. It's quite nice to see.
Yeah, I've always used Virt Manager.
Yeah, I don't like Virt Manager because it's GTK, and obviously that goes against all my principles.
Oh, yeah. It goes against your religion of...
Yes, I use Virt Viewer, though. That's as far as I'll go. It's still the same app for viewing it, but that's good enough. Look, I wouldn't like to be me either.
You know you have a choice, Phelim.
I know I have problems.
Graham, I'm going to get the reverb ready and the fade out button as well. You're going to talk about a classic synth, a CS-80.
Oh, that has no relationship to open source or Linux or anything. This is an interactive diagram of the CS-80, the Yamaha CS-80, which is widely considered the greatest synthesizer of all time. And I have a clone of a CS-80.
Oh, so close.
Not a one-to-one.
So close, Graham.
So Vangelis uses CS-80 in Blade Runner and Chariots of Fire. And I've talked about it before because it had polyphonic aftertouch. But behind this huge case, it was pre-digital. Everything had a circuit board. And what's more, there were 2 voices and everything was wired in duplicate. And then there were presets. The presets were nothing but a board with a load of diodes and resistors on to hold the values for the presets. And then there were user presets that were sliders in a secret panel that you could open up. And all of those things were multiplexed across every single option on the synth. So when you open up a Yamaha CS-80, it looks like you should watch a video of somebody taking a look at these things. It looks like, I don't know, a lorry load of spaghetti. There is no way anybody could make any sense out of it. And yet this synth to this day is still one of the best sounding synths ever created. So there really is like an historical importance into preserving the knowledge of how this thing works. These things are getting really old. And so this CS-80 interactive diagram is a complete overview of the circuit, all the circuit boards in the CS-80 with the signal path. And then it's just meticulously researched. You click on any one of the circuit boards and it takes you to an individual page with the PCB photographs, with the PCB design layout, a description of how everything works, all of the components used. If it creates sound, then they've created sound samples to show what it's like. And even if you don't have any interest in synthesizers, I think it's an amazing feat of documentation and digital archaeology, even in the pre-digital age, because directly after the CS-80, the Prophet 5 came directly after this, and all of this had been put into an integrated circuit, so it was just put into a chip. Geekery, I think that's what gives it its character, because you can't recreate any of that digitally. It's got just a billion different imperfections.
What were they even doing with some of these boards? Like, why is there giant U-shaped loops of wire everywhere on the ends of components?
So every key had pressure control. So the pressure control for every key was like wired to all of the sound generation bits. It wasn't like an integrated circuit. And then there was a touch controller. There's a million knobs on the thing as well. There were effects. It's just hugely complicated. Even for modern synth terms, it's really complicated synth.
Well, something that I keep seeing on Mastodon is Mastodon most followed. And this seems to be pretty much every Mastodon account, or at least anyone with followers, ranked in terms of number of followers. And it is surprising how few sort of celebrities there are. The most famous person is George Takei in number 2 spot. Number 1 is Mastodon itself. And otherwise, there's like quite a lot of quite well-known people, but not really that well-known outside of tech and stuff. I suppose Greta Thunberg is on there in 15th place, but then Molly White is 22nd. And Gaming on Linux is in 41st place. So well done, Liam, on that
just
score.
Slightly that's behind awesome. Me. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I went to the last page expecting everyone there to have way more followers than me, but that was like people with 100 followers. So I was like, I must be in the middle then. I think I was like 1,000 and something. So I was like, yes,
pretty
I'm
good.
actually doing really well. Yeah.
Well, I've just gone to the last page and the last person's got 583. So I think things have gone up since then.
Oh, well. So are any of you lot on this, I wonder?
No, not if it's 583. Oh, no, shit. Wait, I do. I've got 790. What? 792?
Wow.
Oh, dear.
I don't think there's a way to search it, though. You just have to sort of change the page number in the URL and slowly find yourself. Well, that's how I did it anyway.
Well, I know what I'm doing for the next few hours. I've got to be on a list somewhere.
Oh, you're on a list, all right.
Fuck.
At least one.
I walked into that one, all right, yeah.
But it is interesting that not many celebrities have come over yet.
And long may it continue that way, unless they're the ones I like. But yeah, geez, do we really need a big mega celebrity? I don't know.
Yeah, the likes of George Takei, who seems to be pretty cool.
Yeah, he is cool, though. But, I mean, we don't want, like, fucking Joe Rogan, do we?
No, definitely not. And the fucking Kardashians and shit.
Exactly. So, be careful what you wish for, I think.
Well, no, I wish for them to all just stay away. You know, I want to see the likes of Ars Technica in 9th place. And Elon's jet and all that sort of shit. It just makes me love Mastodon even more. And the Fediverse generally. So well done to Stefan, the fellow who put this together. It's totally irrelevant, really, but it is a bit of fun nonetheless to see where you are in the social ranking. And as long as I'm higher than you lot, that's all that matters.
That's all this is about.
Yeah, it is really, yeah. It's the only reason he brought it up.
Yeah, obviously. If I'd been lower than you lot, then, or not on the list, then I wouldn't be talking about it, would I?
You'd be submitting that URL to fucking ad blocker.
Yep. Okay, this episode is sponsored by people who support us with PayPal and Patreon. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can support us too. For $10 a month on Patreon, you can get access to an RSS feed that contains all the Late Night Linux family shows without adverts like this. There's also an option to get just this show ad-free for $5 a month. Some episodes are even released a day or so early for Patreon supporters. So if you like what we do and can afford it, it'd be great if you could support us at latenightlinux.com/support. Have any of you lot noticed YouTube being slow on Firefox?
No.
Because I have, and then sure enough, I read headlines about it. It's part of this war on ad blockers bullshit from Google.
But you see, they know that I support the ads, so they're fine with that, and they let me in straight away.
Right, okay. Yeah, because sometimes I'll load a page and it'll just take ages and ages and then finally load and start playing the video.
I saw the reports of this, and I'm lucky enough that I have not seen it. Reading some of the news articles, it sounds like they are not specifically targeting Firefox. It just happens to have been caught in the crossfire, if you believe them. But it doesn't seem to be all users on all non-Chrome browsers. And like I say, I have not seen this at all. I can imagine that it would be incredibly irritating. But I think it's one of these things that, well, one, the ad blocker people and the browser manufacturers, like specifically Mozilla, will find a way to unbreak it. And it will just be this constant cycle of, tit for tat kind of stupidness. And we'll all waste our time and energy caring about it. Or people will just develop new ways of interacting with YouTube so that they don't give a shit. Like open up a whole bunch of new tabs and then just get to them when you're ready and they'll already be loaded. And it won't be a problem. It just seems just an unnecessary thing to do for a very small number of people who have ad blockers.
Well, it gets even worse. I don't think we've ever talked about this Manifest v3 extension platform thing. So from the middle of next year onwards, Chrome is not going to allow Manifest v2 extensions because they are too intrusive. They can read too much of what you're looking at on the web. So that's the official line on it. But the reality is that these new types of extensions are not going to work as well as the old ones. And that means that adblocker is going to be a bit shit from the middle of next year onwards in Chrome. And it actually gets even worse than that. Not only is the adblocker going to be less good, it's going to take ages to update the block lists and stuff. Because at the moment, with something like uBlock Origin, which I recommend, that can automatically update the lists in the background several times a day, potentially, to keep on top of the arms race with Google and loads of other sites as well. But now with this Manifest v3 platform, updating the block lists requires the whole extension to be updated, which needs approval from Google, which could take anything from a few hours to a week, which means that YouTube on Chrome is going to be a shit experience in the back half of next year. And I think this is fucking excellent news for Mozilla and Firefox. I think Google has massively underestimated how many people watch YouTube videos, hate ads, and will not pay for premium.
Well, maybe they do know. Maybe that's the reason why they're being so aggressive against ad blockers. They can see the way that it's going.
Maybe.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, they're doing me a huge favour as well with all of this because I no longer spend so much of my time wasted on YouTube.
I have actually found myself watching YouTube a bit less.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because of this or what, but I really hope it drives people back to Firefox because Firefox is not implementing all this bollocks. They're going to let you have the uBlock Origin that we've already had and have now.
Yeah, and I love Firefox for things like pop-out video and being able to do with your browser what you want to do with your browser. It's a brilliant opportunity. I'm not going to say anything negative about how they'll screw it up, but
I was about to say, like we've talked about this a few times in the past, and the perceived pain of transferring from Google to Firefox really is worth it, and the pain is actually not that bad. But I agree with Graham that this is a real opportunity for Mozilla to become huge again, become really, really popular. But we all know what's going to happen.
What is going to happen? Are people going to go to just horrendous browsers like Brave?
People already are, I think. I've talked to a few people. I'm surprised that they're using Brave, and they're using Brave. They disable all the terrible crypto stuff, but they're doing it because all this stuff's built in and it will run on iOS or Mac OS, and some parts of it are open source.
Well, before I discovered AdGuard Public DNS, I was using Brave on my iPad. But have you seen who runs the company?
I know. Somebody who used to work for Mozilla, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. My advice is do not use Brave.
I would imagine if Brave sees a massive influx of people who then aren't using their bogus made-up coin there, it's not going to do them much favours, and they'll probably end up killing that off then, surely, because that's their revenue stream.
Maybe. Well, I like to believe that people will rediscover Firefox. It's like, I remember when Uber temporarily lost their license to operate in London, and then they managed to just keep going anyway because they're just fucking whatever. What started trending on Twitter was Addison Lee, which is a huge traditional cab company in London. And people are like, oh yeah, Addison Lee, I remember using that back before Uber. Maybe, just maybe, people will go, oh yeah, Firefox. I used to use that. Maybe I'll check that out again.
I really hope so.
Yeah, I hope so, but I'm just dreaming ultimately. No, I'm not. I'm going to stay positive. People are going to en masse check out Firefox, realize, hang on, this is actually a really fucking good browser, and I'm going to stick with it.
Well, it's not long until our predictions show, Joe, so you can put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing that. Yeah. Who put in the annual consumer creepometer?
Oh, I did. I put it in our Telegram channel to have a look at it, and then I read it and was somewhat disappointed. So, true to form, Mozilla produced a website that tries to summarize the state of privacy on the web. And would you believe it? It's not very good. And then it gives you the option to choose a few devices that maybe you've got around the house and that you use, such as, weirdly, a Nintendo Switch and some smart speaker that I've never heard of. And then it gives you a review of how good those products are at protecting your privacy. But like, you choose a Nintendo Switch, it says it is fine. Yeah, I know. But what are you trying to tell me here? And it boils down to smart speakers bad, Nintendo good. And that's about the size of it. It doesn't really seem to be much of a new message in here. I think they just tried to spin it in a slightly more interesting way. But it just didn't really come across for me. I just didn't think it was especially well done, I suppose.
What did you get then? Were you just bitter because it said that you were you'd fallen for all the propaganda?
No, it's all right, because all of the things that are on there, I haven't got any of those apart from a Switch, and that's it.
But did it have an option for dodgy tech bought off the boat from China that who knows how secure it is?
No, it didn't. No, that's a fair point.
Dear Mozilla, please add AliExpress special to your...
The meter has flown off into the air and is now in space.
Well, there's even more good news about Firefox, and that is that proper extensions are coming very soon, in about 10 days as we record, to the mobile version of Firefox. This is something that they've been previewing, but now it's going to be a real thing for normal users.
I don't know what I feel about this. I mean, I use Firefox all the time on my phone, but I can't really see myself wanting any plugins that I'm missing. But maybe I just haven't thought about it hard enough.
Well, uBlock Origin is the first recommended plugin, so that's what I would use straight away, because why not belt and braces it as well as DNS blocking? I know you're weird and refuse to use it, Phelan, but...
It's just, it breaks so much stuff. That's the problem.
Yeah, I like that it breaks stuff. It shows you like what's fucked about the web.
Yeah, no, I know the web's fucked. I don't need something to tell me. I'd like to watch that one particular news item on my national broadcaster, which apparently they've signed with the devil and you must have all of the ads in order to get the news that you paid for with your taxes.
Just allow list it, it's fine.
That doesn't work. It is one of those awful ones where it needs to get a response back from the ad company saying, yes, I have shown them the ad.
You can disable it on individual domains, can't you?
It's really, really hokey and it doesn't half work most of the time. It's awful.
It's probably because it's requesting shit from loads of tracking domains and shit.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Honestly, you're better off with it. You are way better off with it, Phelan, believe me.
I don't care. I don't care.
Phelan in pragmatic shocker.
Yes, I'm very pragmatic all the time. I don't know why you have some other opinion of me. It's just complete lies.
Remind us how many Google apps you have on your phone?
I have no Google apps on my phone. It's pragmatic that way.
Yeah, you pragmatically don't flash the Play Store on Lineage.
Correct. That's extra work I don't need to do.
Yeah. Okay. let's do some feedback then. We got a lot of people suggesting that I use syncthing for backing up my photos off my phone.
Really?
I wasn't even in the show, and now I know more about syncing photos than I ever wanted to.
Yes, yeah. I don't know why I don't want to use syncthing. I can't explain it to you. I wish I could, and I probably will end up going that route, but I don't know, man. I just don't want to use it, and I can't tell you why.
I think Popey made a good point in our secret group chat of chats where he said if you make a deletion by mistake and it ripples around all of your devices, deleting it everywhere, maybe that was it.
Well, I think that is my inherent problem with syncthing is I don't like syncing generally. I like to push or pull. I don't like the idea of syncing. It's just something doesn't feel right about it. Like if you delete something, I mean, look, if you're doing it with ZFS and you've got snapshots, it's not a problem anyway. It's just hassle to deal with it. You're not going to lose anything. But syncthing doesn't have to work in a syncing way, despite the name of it. You can push and pull with it as well. You know, you can have it one way. So that's not really an excuse. I think maybe because it's called syncthing and I just hate the idea of syncing, even though I know it doesn't necessarily have to do syncing, I just don't want to use it. I think that's probably the irrational reason behind it. So, like I said, I'll probably end up with it. So Toby and Stephen suggested Syncopoly, which is on F-Droid, and that is a way to do rsync, but better than just raw rsync. So I was tempted to do that. An anonymous person said, it's my time to shine. A few months ago, I wrote up a guide on using rsync with Termux. And the three main tips are use Termux Job Scheduler to schedule your job with Android's battery-efficient cron framework. Use rsync as part of SSH's force command to limit your phone's key. And ping something like healthchecks.io to report if and when the job fails. Mine has been rock solid. And VT said, if you're going to go for a big service, maybe Image. Image is a nice Google Photos replacement, though I'm still wary of the experimental banner. And this is something that Gary from Linux After Dark has been using. And apparently it's got machine learning stuff for face detection and whatnot. It's obviously not going to be as good as Google's one, but that is something I'm tempted to try, but it is still a little bit new, so maybe not yet.
The Image system looks very interesting to me because it looks like almost a carbon copy of Google Photos, and the face recognition and machine learning about what it is that you're searching for looks like it not perfect right now, but it's getting there. I think that is a really good option. Yeah,
I am very tempted by that. And I think I might stick it on a NUC or something and experiment with it. So I might have that as a discovery at some point in the future. But Chris from Linux After Dark suggested folder sync, which is what he's been using for ages. And he was the first person to not suggest syncthing. So I just set it up one morning and it's been fine. The setup process was fucking painful though, because the UI and UX is just terrible. Like you add the thing and it just doesn't show up and then it's in a different tab. And it took me far too long. Maybe I'm just thick, but the point being, once you set it up, that's it. It's just done. And it seems to be working because I've tried it with my rsync job a few times just to check that everything's backed up and it has been working fine. So I think that's what I'm going to stick with for now because I'm very lazy. But we'll see about this Image thing. But as for syncthing, yes, I know syncthing is a thing. Please stop telling me that. I mean, I do appreciate it because, you know, I might not have known about it, but when you've been told it 50 or 100 times, it sort of makes me just want to never, ever hear the word or read the word syncthing again.
Syncthing.
But I probably shouldn't be so angry about this, should I?
So Image has also got a demo site with a pre-populated username and password, so you can just log in and give it a test run. And just clicking around in there, it's quite responsive. It's quite nice. The search, when I say has got a little bit to go, I mean, it really isn't very good. I searched for dog and I got a picture of a spider, a goose, a hedgehog, and a marble statue.
Some dinosaurs as well.
Yeah, and a crab.
This is the stuff of nightmares. I would like a dog for Christmas. Oh, you'll get one, all right.
Well, you know, it was sort of partially right in that it was also a noun. So, you know, fairly close.
What type of dinosaur is that? I don't quite recognize it.
It's a dog dinosaur, clearly. It really, really, really looks like Google Photos, and I quite like that about it. And it feels really snappy. So check out the demo.
Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelan.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.